Hello, viewers. This is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary series, and it looks like we've got Black-Red Vampires versus Bant Aggro, I think. So far, not a whole lot has happened. Vampires played Bloodsworn on turn 2, Drawn on turn 3, Sylvan Advocate on the other side on turn 2, and then turn 3, he Dramoka's Command to kill off the Drana. I'm really surprised that we haven't seen more vampires from the black-red side, or, I don't know, anything else. He has to have things that he can play. Asylum Visitor. And Bant goes straight into combat. No blocks, 3 more damage. Vampires is already down to 11. Reflector Mage. Okay. I have to admit, I think I would have gone after the Bloodsworn, considering it has flying and it can give other vampires haste, whereas the Asylum Visitor is basically just 3 power. After that, Duskwatch Recruiter, and things are really not looking good for vampires. You know, a Fiery Temper or Olivia mobilized for war, or any number of other things would be helpful right here. Indulgent Aristocrat. And I have to say, in the face of this, attacking in for 2 is kind of ballsy. Now, if Indulgent Aristocrat were to have creatures that could be sacrificed to it, him having lifelink could turn this around for vampires. But Bant's attacking all in. Indulgent Aristocrat is chump blocking Sylvan Advocate, so Vamps is going to take 4 damage, go down to 8. And unfortunately for vampires at the moment, Bant has all the momentum, mainly because vampires isn't playing anything. Now, that could be because he has nothing he can play. The shuffler could have been very unfriendly to him. We just don't know. And no spells, so Duskwatch Recruiter is going to flip. Is he going to activate it before it flips? I mean, he does only have 1 green mana, which is kind of odd, but then again, just the way things get dealt. Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for it. And if he doesn't have anything else to play, why not? The possibility of getting another good creature. Well, now that I think about it, pretty much every creature that you see in Bant Aggro is good. That's why it's in the deck. Just the mana curve and the synergy some of these cards have with each other is just ridiculous. It's why Bant Aggro is so dominant. And Tireless Tracker. I mean, just the sheer volume of 2 and 3 drops that they have that are, good cards. Sylvan Advocate is ridiculous for 2 mana. Reflector Mage is, can be a straight up bomb at 3 mana. Duskwatch Recruiter does a lot of work, whether he's a recruiter or the Howler, and he only costs 2 mana. Tireless Tracker, he can do work. It just doesn't happen all that often, mainly because mostly it's dependent upon clues. But Vamps concedes. And if I had to guess, he probably had a real crap hand from the start. And unfortunately, Bant Aggro had a pretty normal game for Bant Aggro. So, let's go to game 2. Okay. Bant Aggro, I have to assume, accidentally F6'd his turn and ended up having to discard a card because he skipped his turn. So I guess we're going to game 3, which kind of actually is still game 2. Okay, turn 1 Falconwrath Gorger from red. And that's one of the downfalls of playing Magic the Gathering online is you have to be incredibly careful with your keystrokes and your mouse clicks. You know, in person, in paper Magic, you know, there's no way that you can accidentally pass your turn or accidentally play the wrong card from your hand. Well, technically you can, but it's not paying attention as opposed to um, clicking where you think the card is, but actually clicking another card. It just takes a lot of practice. That's the thing. You know, everybody misclicks. Everybody has F6'd one of their turns by accident. It's just, it comes with the territory. Okay, so Gorger attacks in for 2. He follows that up with Heir of Falconwrath. Bant throws down Reflector Mage. And I was going to say, I imagine he's going to bounce the Heir because there's the possibility of some really nasty turn 3 combinations with Heir of Falconwrath. Like, you play the Heir on turn 2, you play, oh, what is it? Forgotten Heirloom, Rested Heirloom, Forgotten Heirloom, something like that. Either on turn 1 or turn 3, and then equip it, and then you discard a card to transform it, and depending on, you know, when you equipped or played the equipment, you might have mana or you might not have mana, and then you can discard, you know, say Fiery Temper or Alms of the Vein to the Heir to transform it. Then you get the 3 damage or 3 loss of life, and then on top of that, the Heir is a 6/5 flying first strike. So Olivia, mobilized for war, gets Dramoka's Command. Reflector Mage is now a 3/4. Bant follows that up with a Duskwatch Recruiter. And, you know, that nasty combination I just told you about, you know, that's in Magic Christmas Land, you know. It's not going to happen every game. It's probably not going to happen very often at all, and especially if you're not running the equipment, which most vampire decks don't. But then again, you know, the Heir is a really nice creature for the madness. You know, you discard a card for basically for free. You know, you don't have to pay mana. You don't have to. What are you know? There's some other costs that you know you have to do to discard on certain cards, but this one you just get to discard one card for free, and then it becomes a 3/2 flyer versus the 2/1 that it is, and then you most likely have all your mana open to cast the card that you just discarded for its madness cost. And when you go first turn Falconwrath Gorger, you can discard vampires to it and still get to play them. So in goes the Reflector Mage and the Kralin Horde Howler. That's 6 damage. Vampires is down to 11. Lamholt Pacifist. Good news for Vamps is that he does not have a power 4 creature, so the Lamholt Pacifist is just a 3/3 blocker right now. Vampires is discarding Olivia Mobilized for War to the air and paying the madness cost, so now he gets her. This will flip, so now he has two 3-power flyers, which Bant can't really do anything about unless he has something like a Stasis Snare or another Dramoka's Command. But Bant is still on 18 life, so, 6 power in the air really isn't all that impressive right now. Ooh, Drana, Liberator of Malakir. That could turn things around. And with Olivia's ability, if he has something along the lines of Fiery Temper, nope, just a land. But it does make Drana a 3/4 flying first strike haste. So now he can attack in for 3 damage from Drana and then 8 damage from the other two because she has first strike. So that's 11 damage. So Bant's down to 7. And Collected Company at the end of turn gets a Reflector Mage. Good hit. He only got one creature, but Reflector Mage is a good creature to get in this situation. Gets rid of Drana. Let's see, 11 life. Blocks 3, 3, 6. Well, this can't attack. So 3, 5 if he blocks one. It's 8 if he doesn't. Another Dramoka's command would be perfect right now because then he could use the Reflector Mage to kill off one of those creatures, the Gorger, for example. And it would put him up to a 4 power, so the Pacifist would be able to attack. And then he'd be able to get in for 5, 8, 12. But Reflector Mage bounces Olivia. And manning up the Lumbering Falls, having to pay for the mana to do it. But now he can attack in with 3 3-powered creatures and a 2/3. So unblocked, that's 11 damage. So he has to block one of these creatures. And it doesn't matter which one. Though I imagine he'll block a 3 powers to save himself the 1 extra life. Now, it is entirely possible for vampires to kill Bant with straight shots to the face. If he has Fiery Temper and Alms of the Vein, they both cost 3. So all he'd have to do is play a land that comes into play untapped, and then he could go straight to the face and win. Or he could just need one of them since he does have the 4/3 flyer and Bant can't stop it. And unfortunately, it looks like Vampires didn't have the kill shot that he needed. And that is one of the problems that I've noticed with Vampires. I have yet to see a Vampires deck run as smoothly as basically any Bant deck that I've ever seen. There are bad days that I've seen with Bant Aggro, but typically, even on a not so good game, they are rather consistent. Whereas I've yet to see a Vampire deck be consistent. Now, not being consistent doesn't mean your deck is bad. You know, consistency is nearly impossible. It's just the way the mana ramp is constructed with Bant Aggro, it's really hard for them to not be able to keep playing things. And for some reason, Vampires has a problem with that. Or at least that's what I've seen so far. Who knows, maybe after Eldritch Moon comes out and they get some new cards, maybe they will be able to smooth out their runs. But I'm going to end the video there. I've babbled for far too long. That was Black Red Vampires versus Bant Aggro. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.